All right, here we are today. We got 2/3 of Kusnak Sealk. It's myself and my slach, Kwayakin. And we are here today because we would like to talk about indigenizing education. Now, this is a topic that's near and dear to our hearts. We are both educators. We want to look at this from both a settler and a cultural perspective because we understand there's a lot of challenges around indigenizing education, and a lot of those challenges are felt by settler teachers. But we also want to look at it from a cultural perspective too, because we are language and culture teachers and we love to help and work with other language and culture teachers. So we're going to be going around to different communities, different schools, offering opportunities to work with language and culture teachers, or just even regular classroom teachers that are interested in indigenizing their educational experience. So if you would like to work with us, please book us. There's going to be an email listed below. You can give us a shout and we would be glad to come help out your school. Now we're going to talk about some of the things that we do to help out these schools and talk about some philosophies around indigenizing education. So I'll act as an interviewer. My good friend here is going to enlighten us with his vast knowledge. But first, we should probably introduce who we are. Why don't you go ahead?
Why, peace naksil squeeze koyachen isma squeeze Levi Bent. My Skyluk name is Koyachen. It's Blue Wings, and my English name is Levi Bent. And my parents are Neil Bent and Michelle Bent. Yeah, and I live in Osuyus, British Columbia, but I grew up across the line in Omak area in Washington. And that's who I am. I've got 4 kids, and I'm happy to be here to help out, to share what I know, and indigenize education for everyone.
How did you get into language and culture? Because you weren't always living a cultural life. Didn't always know the language. You made a conscious decision as an adult to get into it. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I grew up down there and there was not too much language being spoken. I didn't hear very many fluent speakers. My dad would speak once in a while, but, only when he was really getting a little intoxicated, I'd hear it. And so I said, oh, geez, what's he saying? He'd be speaking to my uncle and they'd start talking and stuff. So I always thought that was interesting, to hear him speak the language. But I think because of trauma and stuff, that only when he kind of, you let out some steam or you let down your guards when you're inebriated, then he was able to speak. And so that's about the only time I really heard it growing up. And maybe at funerals and maybe different ceremonial functions. Some of our ceremonial functions, I'd hear the language. And I always thought it was maybe just like for them, for the older people, and not for the kids, because no one was speaking to us in the language. And a lot of times I didn't get invited to the sweat houses. I thought maybe because I'm half breed, or half native, half white, that maybe I was just left out of certain things, So I didn't really feel connected growing up. But I grew up and I took to the party lifestyle. And it wasn't until I went to treatment and they said, hey, we are done with our program. We're going to drum. We're going to sing from songs of your people. And share a song, Levi, because I'm kind of extroverted. I'm always singing in karaoke style and different types of stuff. And so they figure I was going to impress them with some Okanagan songs and stuff. I didn't know a single tune. I didn't know a song. And I got to thinking, geez, I don't know much about my actual indigenous side. And I was about 26 years old. And I felt shame. I was like, gosh, I don't even know who I am. It's embarrassing. I don't even know my French side. My mom's from Quebec. I'm like questioning my identity and questioning my upbringing and everything like that. And I realized I didn't know much. So then I got home from treatment and I just was full steam ahead, learned as much as I can, finding notebooks, reading, and asking people. approaching elders, and just this hunger, this desire to learn it. And because for me with the alcoholism, and they say you got to find as much time into your sobriety as you do into your when you were at addiction. So as much as I was partying, I have to try and do something to not party. And so language and culture filled the void of that for me. I didn't like the AA stuff. I would go there once in a while and I said, it's not for me really. I'd rather go hunting. I never did grow up hunting either, you know. Didn't grow up fishing for salmon like I do now. So it was like a kind of a born again indigenous perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where it started from. It was like kind of looking at myself like, who am I really? And knowing I didn't know. And I was like, it's okay not to know, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
now I need to start learning. This is where I start learning. And so that was in 2006. And what is next year is going to be 20 years.
The big 2-0. Yeah.
20 years of the journey of being on the journey of the road. And you know, if I didn't take that choice, make that choice, I'd still be that same guy not knowing, right? So it was the choice then and there to start learning. And I think that was just it. It was just a desire, a want, a genuine curiosity. And can't speak for anybody else, but for me, when I learned, my brain absorbed it effortlessly, naturally. And I've tried to speak French, my mom's language. It's like one ear out the other. But with Nsilch'in, some reason, the sounds and the flow and how it was spoken, it just resonated with me. And so everything I learned, I would just stick in my brain. Like almost like I'd say like a photographic memory sometimes. Not every word, but then sometimes I'd get a word here at once, it's in there, you know, like, and I think happy, blessed to that my brain was like that, you know, and I was, because of it, I had a genuine interest in it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think like people who really interested in something, the learning is easy.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not really interested in it, you know, I'm like, I'm not interested in this topic, I'm not going to learn so well in it because it's not my interest. But this really, you know, in Seelchen, because it was personal, because it's who I am, it's a part of me. And you learn about how it was kind of taken away and how it was systematic, and then it gives, that's another fuel, another log on the fire. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna learn it, right? Because they wanted me to not know it. Now I want to know more. I want to learn more, and I just fell in love with it. You know, I love the way it rolls off my tongue, and the way it kind of is in my brain when I'm driving down the road. I think in the language, and I talk to myself, and my dog. You know, he knows commands, and I come here and all that stuff in the language and stuff, and so it just became a part of me, become a part of who I am. And I think it's just because I loved it. I was interested in it. Yeah.
Did it feel, so as you learn more language, did it feel like it was fulfilling? Did it feel like you were like kind of like filling the gap, or something that was missing was there?
Yeah. I mean, every word I learned was like a piece to the puzzle in my brain, or added to this filing cabinet that's empty, and I've got to put another something in there, and then there's more room for more. And I think it's like it's open for the rest of my life. I could always learn and not be bored. I could learn every day, speak the language every day, and I'll get tired of it. I think I have that steam of where I could just go like all the time in it and be in it all the time. And I just think you know, we were asking about dreams of what you would think school systems. If
Right.
if there was, everyone was like that, if I had a group of people who thought and felt like me, I'd be so. It'd be easy. It'd be easy. You know, it'd be easy. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Well, I think you're very like motivational. I think that you're just an awesome role model for learning the language and culture, especially for anybody out there who's feels like they're not connected to their own language and their own culture, and they worry that, oh, maybe it's too late, maybe I missed out on that. It's like, no, it's never too late, whether you're 26, whether you're 40, whether you're 70, like you can always go back to that. It's always there for you. So, you know, I hope you don't mind, but there's times I've used you as a example for learning language and culture as an adult. There's time I've mentioned, and people are always often shocked if they know you that you didn't grow up in the language and culture. They're like, what? He did it all as an adult? But it's just amazing thing because it lets other people know that, one person does it, you can do it too.
Yeah, totally. If you can, yeah, and I couldn't have done it. I don't think as well as if I didn't have the encouragement or the support from the teachers I had in my life. Like that's like it's amazing that there was fluent speakers in especially in like Penticton and areas around here in Smilkamin, and some of my relatives, because I think in Omak they're down to just a couple, and I never did get to bump into them, And I saw two fluent speakers speaking to each other in an A and B conversation in Cal Tire when they were getting their tire fixed, and they were just having a conversation, and I was just dumbstruck. Wow, look at them go! Right, and that was to me
Yeah.
another one of those things where this is what I want. It's still here. It's not dead yet, right? So it's still alive, and to everyone who helped me, like limlimt, and I want to pay that forward and give back to how, there was people there to teach me and still teaching me, right? Every time I run into an elder, I'm like talking to them in a language, and somehow I'm able to pry a new word out of them. It's like digging for gold, I think, like you'd think I've heard it all, whatever. No, every time I sit down, I still have so much to learn. As much as I know quite a bit. I don't know if you know the word, what they call it, the F word, fluent, it's the F word, but it's like I can get by all day. So that's good enough. I can get by. I could say, what's this called? Explain it to me. I can stay in the language, right? So that's like being fluent, kind of.
Oh, yeah.
And then
you're not going to know every single word.
Yeah,
but it's
no.
also like, who knows every word of the English language?
That's what
too.
I mean, right? But then when you have your basic foundation of language, then you can start asking for more words. And so that's what I like to do now. Is when I see an elder, but it's only once in a while, like a little gatherings, right? I wish I had more time to just be with them to learn more. Because they're getting up there in age and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the challenge. So for myself, my name is Jesse.
Did I take up all that time just for introduction?
No, we got as much time as we want. No, I just wanted to switch back so we could go through this list a little bit. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
No, I said too much. I'm just blabbering over here.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. No, people can always people get to listen to what they want to listen to here. They can fast forward through my part if they want. It's all good. That's a nice thing about the medium that we use, YouTube, is that you can drop in, you can drop out, you can listen to whatever you listen. So I don't think that time is ever an issue here. As for myself, my Synkelic squeezed is Schwanaitum, Bigfoot. I like it. I didn't like it at first. I thought it was kind of a goof on me, but I've come to embrace it because I know Bigfoot's a very spiritual creature, and he's a very like wise, mystical, mysterious dude, and I kind of like to embrace that side of it too.
Yeah, you should grow your beard out.
It'd be full Schwanaitum mode. I started teaching. All right, my exposure to the Okanagan language and culture started in 2011. Or 2011? Yeah, 2011. So I was about 28 at the time, 27. So close to when you started your language journey. I didn't go into I want to learn language and culture right off the get-go. I was coming from a settler background. I had just graduated teaching school. I was looking for a job in the Okanagan and just wanted to see what other options are out there. I didn't really think about teaching at a band school at first, but I did I was open to the opportunity, checked out a couple of them, and actually really liked the idea around it, the sort of way that it's not as structured or not as uh I don't know what the word is, but it feels like it's more laid back than public school, and it felt like it was more there was more this bit of land-based learning, this ancient knowledge, this really cool feeling around it, and I was drawn to that from the get-go. And I was fortunate I got to work with some really amazing language and culture teachers. And at the time, I was open to learning the language, but I I acted like wasn't for me, or maybe there was being gate kept for me a little bit. But really, I think it was mainly just me, not having that thirst for it, not really feeling like, okay, I want to learn this language and culture. Like it was an excuse to not get right into it because the school wasn't really motivating it. There was a bit of a this is language and culture. This is your job as a teacher. You get to go on cultural trips. Da, 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 da. So I didn't feel motivated to learn the language at the time. It wasn't until about 3 years ago when we started working together. Is it 3 years now or 4 years? 3 years, I guess. It wasn't until about 3 years ago when I started with the language and culture team at Senpak Chin was I like, okay, now it's time for me to learn the language. It's my job now. And so that was my real motivation. But what actually pulled me into it was you, because it was all right at the beginning, the first month or so. It was nice to work with Skukulalk and Tukskam and Kukuriskin, and they were great. Like lots of amazing language and culture knowledge. It really helped me get it. But it wasn't until you came on board that I really kind of understood the learning of the language and culture, because you had taught N1, and then I felt like, okay, here is this gateway. Here's this guy who has learned it himself. And I think no like disrespect to the others, but for you, it was the fact that you had done it yourself as an adult, and that resonated with me because I was in the same position where I'm like, okay, now I want to learn the language and culture, and I'm fortunate that I have you to work with every day, a fluent speaker, and it gives me a fighting chance at picking up some of the language. So that really pushed me into it, and it's been an amazing experience the last 3 years. I feel blessed to kind of be in that position. I know that like not there's not a lot of other um, teachers that come from a settler background that get that exposure to the language and culture that I've gotten. So I'm truly grateful for that, and just the fact that the language is something that is endangered. It is something that has been systematically not destroyed, but systematically kept away, hidden, maybe destroyed, but just like something that there's been active work against the language and preventing people from learning it for generations now, and being able to be part of the team that's helping bring it back, that motivates me. It's like we get to work for a greater purpose every time we do something. It's not just like, hey, I'm teaching math. Hey, I'm teaching language arts. I mean, it's great to have purpose in those things as well. But the fact that we get to say every time we teach is like, hey, maybe we're inspiring somebody out there to become a fluent speaker. Maybe we're inspiring somebody in the classroom to become a language and culture teacher one day, and keep it going. We have a chance to help revitalize this language, and we're going to take every opportunity we get to do that.
Definitely. I just think that how cool would it have been when if I was a kid to see someone like me come in and do language and culture. I'd be all over it. Not to say the kids aren't appreciative, they are, but I'm just talking about like myself as a kid. I'd be like, "Well, this is awesome. I want to be a fluent speaker."
I think everything happens for a reason. It's like this is what you were destined to be. There's a
Yeah, I
reason
think
why
so.
things were kept. There's a reason why it's something you had to fight for. And I think when we got to fight and work for something, that then you truly like appreciate it. Maybe you wouldn't be learning it and sharing it with the same fire and motivation you have now if you always had it.
Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I just
There's no way of knowing.
there's no way knowing. I think you're right though. Meant to be sometimes. Even the struggles and the things we go through. We say it's meant to be. People you run into, and there's always challenges in working with people,
Yeah.
but it's those challenges of overcoming and in meeting people where they're at and working with them, that's where the growth is, and that's where like the magic is, and that's why being a team with you and Trenton and everyone else was so special,
Yeah.
because we all come from different backgrounds, but our goal was the same, was to do this meaningful work
Hmm.
and to do it to the best of our ability. And when we all bring something different to the table, it just makes it better, right? That's we need more of that, coming together.
I couldn't agree more. I think when you're teaching with a purpose, it it makes it fun. It makes
Mhm.
it easy. It doesn't feel like a chore. You're able to put up with more um, of the things that you don't like. It just gives you more patience to deal with other unrelated stuff or things that are difficult because your heart's in the right place. Your
Definitely.
mind's in the right place. There's a book I read one time by this guy who was a teacher in middle school, I think 5th grade in like um, downtown Los Angeles. And so it was like the largest school or one of the largest schools in America. And his classroom had like an insane amount of like college graduates come out of it, considering it was like an inner city school and had all these things working against it. And they went and they interviewed the guy to be like, okay, why is this guy so great? And he ended up writing a book afterwards. And he just said, like, he had an epiphany one day. And an epiphany was when he was doing something in the house and his hair caught on fire. And he just was like, I don't know how he caught his hair on fire. But the name of the book was Teach Like Your Hair's on Fire. And so the
Yeah.
whole motivation was like, you teach like what you're teaching is the most important thing in the world. And you really want to
Mm.
get it. You really want to share it with these children. You
Yeah.
think of everything that you didn't accomplish as an adult, everything you wish you could have accomplished. You do whatever you can to be like the best teacher you can be, and you work extra hard to provide the best education you can. And so this was a guy that would like every day he would like stay at the school or do stuff to prep for the next day till like 10 o'clock at night. So he'd be like put up just as much time working after hours as he was in the classroom, just so that time in the classroom was that much more special. And a lot of that stuff was tutoring kids that he had in the past. So like tutoring kids that were in high school, whatever he could do to help these kids get an edge, get ahead, make them love education. That
Mhm.
was his whole thing. Is he's like, it wasn't about memorization. It wasn't about curriculum. It wasn't about like following the prescribed way of doing things by your school district, by your province, by all that. It was about teaching things that you love, that you think are important for children to learn, and imbuing them with like the characteristics and the knowledge and the appreciation and just the love for learning that is going to take them so far in life. So it's like he would take an approach where he's not just teaching a lesson, he's he's helping form he's helping give these kids a better
It's like
life.
self-development.
Yeah.
It's educating yourself and empowering yourself and your yourself, motivating yourself, and what do they call that, like the all the gurus who it's all about what you think and you create,
Yeah.
and
It's like
like
a holistic education
yeah,
experience.
and you
Yeah.
look a lot of times that kids, teachers, people in general don't want to be at school.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're looking at the clock. When's 3 o'clock rolling out?
Yeah.
I know when I was a kid, that was me, and it seemed like you could see that second hand just go.
Go backwards.
Doof.
Yeah. Like,
Like,
what?
God, let me get the heck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the impression we have on education is like that, but
Mhm.
what we want, like what that guy wants, is for people to be excited to be at school, to develop
Mhm.
themselves, to be empowered, to be like stoked on learning, to
Yeah.
love learning.
Yeah. And the only way to do that is you got to be stoked on it
You
too.
got to be stoked.
That your passion is contagious. It's
Yep.
like if you have that passion for what you're doing, other people are gonna be other people are going to see it. They're going to be like, okay, there's
Absolutely.
something
They're
here.
going to want a piece of that.
Yeah, yeah. It's infectious. They're going to get it.
This guy did he have a team? He did this all alone, because that's the thing I always find. I work better as a team when I have another person who's inspired and passionate as me. It fuels me, and then when I'm feeling passionate, it fuels them. So then you get this back and forth energy. I personally, my tank runs out when I'm the only one in the room to be stoked on something, and no one else cares. It makes me think, maybe this isn't important or whatever. That's why I sometimes get and think about language and culture and stuff like that, because I sometimes wonder, am I the only one who thinks it's so important and beautiful and awesome? It makes me think of that cartoon with the frog, when the guy he has it and it's dancing in front of him and it's beautiful and it's singing. But when he shows somebody else, it just sits there and goes, brah. So I want it to be the thing that's dancing and singing all the time, and people are stoked on it too,
Yeah.
Have you seen that cartoon? And I think it has a lot to do with there's a metaphor to that cartoon. It might be off topic though.
No, it's not. It's absolutely on topic. I don't know the cartoon, but I understand the metaphor. It's like you can think something is the most beautiful, amazing thing to you, but there's a whole other level to sharing that with other people and having them think the same thing. Because I would always try to do that as a teacher too. Is like, there's something I love, I want to share with the kids, and then there were times I'm like, they don't like it as much as I do. Okay, maybe it's not that. But then it's okay. You try.
It is,
and then you find something else that maybe resonates.
Yeah.
And so maybe part of it could be your delivery. Part of it could be, maybe it's just generational. Maybe it's just something that or maybe you're special and that you enjoy it. And there's other people out there that will enjoy it too, but it doesn't have the wide appeal that things would have. Like I remember teaching, I played Dungeons and Dragons with friends. I was playing in a camp, like we were doing a full campaign, and I just thought, what a great thing this would be to do with kids, because there's such like a learning component to it. There's so many like things, but they have fun along the way. And then I'm like, I don't know if the kids are gonna like this. Maybe they'll think I'm a nerd. Like, I don't know. Like, you as an adult, you're like, you think, like I taught 13, 14-year-olds, so they could be pretty judgy.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it does kind of hurt your feelings when they judge your interest a little bit. So I remember that feeling. I'm like, oh, I don't want the kids to think I'm a big dork. But I'm like, you know what? The passion slays that feeling. So if it's something you're passionate about teaching, you don't feel that way. So I'm like, you know what? My passion for sharing this thing and getting kids into it and maybe giving them an interest is more important than any sort of insecurities I might feel around it.
I actually regret not getting into D&D. I guess it's not too late too. I still could get into it because I have this crazy imagination. I probably would like go up to is it Dungeon Master, or what do they call you guys?
Dungeon Master just runs it, and then you play on a team with like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like you're all in a party.
My son
together.
was in on it for a little bit, and he showed me, and I didn't get it at first, but maybe down the road I'll get into it. It looks cool. I watch you guys.
It's
You guys
fun.
are all having fun.
Yeah, and you would be good at it because there's an acting component to it and a performing component. It's like you get to really embody your character. So you create this character, and then you got to act like that character in the game. So you got to do what your character would do. Yeah, there's a lot of actors that are into it. You can watch on YouTube. There's guys like one guy that's really into it. Vin Diesel is huge. He's huge into it. And then they would do like actor specific ones. And I've seen you can see episodes of it on like YouTube where it's like all these actual actors get together and they.
Can you do a Vin Diesel voice?
No, I don't think so.
I'm the Dungeon Master. No, this doesn't sound like a.
Yeah, he's got kind of a deep voice. It's kind of a little bit nasally too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd have to go try in a mirror for a while.
But yeah, I mean, it's like that's what I basketball, all the cool things that you do with the kids. It's amazing. I wish I could take that language and culture that I know and reach the kids in a way that you do. Like I think that's why we were a good team, or we are a good team. We are a good team.
Yeah.
The videos, the ideas that we come up with, and we have the kids come on, and with the songs are in language and they're part of it, or the different ideas we come up with the wrestling words or whatever it is. These things are I think people may call it alternative, but it's those parts that it's interesting, and that's what captures interest in the
Yeah.
kids
I think you do
being
that.
creative and stuff.
Yeah. No, you definitely get kids interested and stoked on stuff. I think I helped you express that through like video and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's like because I don't know what it is. I think I kind of think a bit like a kid, or I can kind of see how a kid thinks, and I can kind of like already like think about how they would take what I'm gonna say. And so
Mm-hmm.
like I would know what I'm gonna. This is probably gonna be boring for him. This is gonna be that. So I don't know if I've always been like that. I think I have because I used to babysit and I always would kind of connect with kids pretty easy. But it's mainly
You know
just
your audience. You know
know
your
your
audience.
audience. Yeah, I can picture how they're gonna respond to something, and it just worked really well with like kind of that grade 6, 7, 8 age because I would always kind of I'd understand. I'm like, you know what? For them, they're still kids inside. You know, they try to act tough or they try to act like adults. They want to grow up, but it's like just got to appeal to that kind of kid side that's still there
Yeah.
and make it fun, and they'll love that. So
Well, it's like we all have an inner child too, right? So we
yeah,
can't be serious all the time.
yeah, and I think when you can access that, it helps you teach the kids. And so no, you do an awesome job of like conveying that just because you're so comfortable up on the stage and you singing and having fun and the kids laugh and that's what makes them enjoy it so much is when you get in there and you start busting a move, you start singing and they're kind of like digging it because they get a show out of it,
Yeah.
and I think that's a really effective way to engage people in the language and culture because you know there's other ways of doing it. Like some people do it in like a pretty dry way, and that's good for people that are already like stoked on it, that are really into it. But like if you are able to make it fun and exciting along the way, like you're gonna grasp other people that may not have been interested in it before, and all of a sudden they're like, all right, this is making me laugh. I'm having a good time. What's doing it? I guess maybe it's the language.
I think you hit it pretty good on the nail on the head. How my teaching approach is or life approach, it's knowing your audience. And I put myself in the kid's position. If I was a kid and someone was teaching me something, how would I want to learn it? Right? How would I want to learn it? And it wouldn't be for me, the dry, just turning a page and then, from like Wonder Years, or I can't remember what that show is, but it's just the monotone voice
Yeah,
and no inflection of the voice and
it's like Charlie Brown.
not trying to captivate. Oh, that's yeah. That's how parents. I mean, that's how parents and adults sound, right? It's like
Yeah. Just
for
tuned
the
out.
kids here.
Yeah, there's noise. I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah. But when I tell Chaptik the legends, I change my voice of the characters, sound effects. I get the kids to make sound effects and act it out. Get them to act it out. It becomes alive and it becomes a thing. And because that's what I would have liked to have seen. It would have made me laugh. I'd have been drawn to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when it's too, I hate to say it, if I think this aura of seriousness,
Yeah.
is it authoritative?
Mm.
Like strict. Like I feel like I'm being. I don't like that feeling. I like that.
It's like pay attention or else.
Yeah, I like to have that.
This potential like trouble lingering over your head all the time in the classroom.
I want a little bit of freedom to engage.
Yeah.
Throw in my 2 cents. Everyone's doing that, and all of a sudden it's like this creative thing that's happening, and to encourage people to, like when I perform, I want them to dance. I want them to sing along. I want them to clap, do something, smile at least. Kills me when people are just looking at me stoic.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna get you sooner or later. I'm gonna crack you a smile.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as you got to call them out to
Yeah.
get it out of them. No, I think that's a great attitude, and that's our approach to teaching language and culture. It took us a while. Nah, I think it was our natural approach, but I think it definitely gelled over time. And our main philosophy, like we've talked about it from time to time, it's just we want people to enjoy learning the language and culture. We want them to have fun. We want to grab their attention. Then we want to get in their hearts and we want them to care about it, because if you can't make people care about it, it's not going to be successful.
Yep. It's like I think of how the language was in residential schools and how it was oppressed and all this negativity and all this seriousness and the sadness. And it like kind of carries into the language. When we talk about the language, we kind of carry that into the room, right?
Mm.
And then we want other people to learn the language and culture. And it's like, here's all this too you have to carry, by the way. And maybe people are like, gee, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And maybe that's what there's the apprehension, right? There's all this stuff that you have to carry. And I always looked at that. It's like, I'm kind of carrying my stuff already, that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I teach the language, I try to leave it out. I try to leave that part out. What was it before all that? When it was just language and there was just land and the people doing cultural activities and stuff, before alcoholism, before these traumas and the stuff that happened, like, what was it like before that? Maybe let's think of that and grab some of that and bring it forward. And, it was probably jokesters like me back then.
Mm-hmm.
And, so why wouldn't I just go from, I don't know what to say, skip over. We have to acknowledge the negativity, but I don't want to bring it and give it to my people I teach. I don't want to give them that sadness. I want to give them the joy,
Yes.
the connection, just whatever they need to learn the language to help them.
Mm-hmm.
Because the elder, I heard him you can look them up on YouTube too. And a couple of them they say, this must go on. This must go on. This must carry. Someone has to do this work, has to carry this forward. And it's our choice to carry it with joy and love in our hearts, or to carry the sorrow and sadness, or to do both. But to, where's the balance, So I try to, maybe if I feel that there's too much of the sorrow and sadness in what's happening in language and culture, then I got to put more gas on this other part where it's the fun, and because there has to be a balance in life, and balance in teaching. And so maybe I might go overboard with the silliness, and sometimes, maybe you think they say, "Matko Manuel, you're too much." But it's like, well, maybe because I heard a sad story last week about this and that. So now I have to tip the pendulum the other way a little bit. Yeah. But sooner or later, we're going to meet in the middle where we're just like calm and learning our language. Because I can do that too.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to show all the human emotions too.
Yeah,
like we're all human, and to appeal to kids' human side. Because I remember a time when we cried in the classroom as we taught
this time of year because of the Truth and Reconciliation. We read that book. We all cried.
Yeah, the Stolen Voices book.
Yeah,
it's a children's book, but it's very it's a good cry. It's like heartwarming because it's about a girl who gets in touch with her cultural language.
It helps her grandpa.
It helps her grandpa who he's obviously been through everything else that's happened in the 20th century. And just for him to see like that his daughter or his granddaughter is learning the language and the culture, and just that hope that it provided, the way that they spin it in that story just is, how do you not get emotional over it? The fact that something that was supposed to be lost or was nearly lost is coming back, and so it's breathing new life into the culture. It's a beautiful thing. I could only imagine the feeling, like everything you've been through and growing up and just feeling like, okay, our identity has been crushed and we're losing that because we're being forced to assimilate into this greater culture. We're going to lose who we are and who we've been for thousands of years. And then to finally see that glimmer of hope that, okay, maybe that's not going to happen. Just
Yeah,
how that must feel.
beautiful story. Whoever made that book did a good job. It shows that granddaughter who encourages the grandfather. So usually it's the grandparents are trying to teach the grandkids the language and stuff, and it was the other way around in that book. She was, here, I got a book for you to, has the words. I found your words.
Yeah.
Which, no, it's like it was something that's stolen.
Yep.
But it can be reclaimed. It could be found.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a big, powerful message in that too. And like when he was saying, when he started speaking the words, he said, "Oh, this reminds me of my mom," he said,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like home. It's like,
it's great.
How do you not get emotional?
Yeah, you're almost get there just talking about
Just
it.
thinking about it, yeah.
Well,
Beautiful.
yeah, big lim to Sukmama and Michelle for recommending it to us.
Yeah.
It was a great book. We all
every
had.
time I think about it, I get teary eyed. And every time I think of La Bamba, and when Bob's on the bridge and they're playing that song, and he goes, "Richie," I just have to think of that, and I start tearing up.
I have not seen
There's
that
a couple movies and things in
Yeah.
my life where it can get me right there.
Yeah, it got me when I was watching that movie. What's the movie about the Mexican boy where he plays the guitar?
La Bamba.
Not La Bamba. La Bamba. Yeah, it's another one.
Coco.
Coco, yeah. Coco. I'm like, that movie
The
got
Mexican boy playing the guitar.
It's
La Bamba.
Yeah, it's a genre that maybe that's what Coco was based off of. They took some
There's a
stuff from
theme
La Bamba.
going on here. They
No,
make good movies, man.
The end with his grandma, that just tore me apart watching that part.
Yeah.
I was like, am I just really gonna cry over
I
this
think that's
kid's
what
movie?
makes us human. We laugh and we cry, and that's like
Yeah.
too good healing.
I think that's really powerful in the classroom for kids to see you be emotional, particularly as a man. Because, so much of society has said that, men shouldn't cry, yada, yada, yada. To be able to have those moments and be vulnerable in front of like a bunch of children, like it's what a learning, like you learn more through emotions than you can any other way. Like so much learning is tied to emotions, and to see teachers and role models actually get emotional, that just shows that you're so passionate about what you're teaching that you're able to just like let it all out. I never remember the first book I read in class in my first year as a teacher, and I'd never read the book before. It was called Where the Red Fern Grows.
Oh, yeah.
And I just was trying to pick like a nice classic children's book. I'm like, this sounds cool. It's got.
And you never read it before with the kids?
I always tried to find like ones that had like an Indigenous connection, but either that or like a good like outdoor like on the land based connection. Yeah, like I felt like that was the next best thing, and so I would kind of alternate between those two types whenever I do like a reading. And so Where the Red Fern Grows is one of those. It's about a boy with dogs.
Don't spoiler alert the ending for whoever's
I
read it.
won't. But he had these coon hounds, and so he was in competitions, and this is like a deep south thing, but the competitions were that the dogs would try to find the raccoons. Anyway, sad book, Old Yeller type thing. Different though, so I'm not gonna spoil anything. But I wasn't ready for it, and I'm reading it in the class. And then the ending hit me, and I was just like, no. I didn't want to cry, but I ended up crying in front of all the kids, and they saw me, and they're like, I'm like, I had to leave the classroom for a second because I was having a moment. And I come back in, and they're like, "Were you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was." There was no hiding it. And even though it was a bit embarrassing that time, I've cried probably like at least once a year in every class I've been in, and it feels good. It's nice to often it's shared, like it's something that the kids will cry about too. Often it's a book. It's a moment that happens in a book. It's something that happens that we're all invested in, and it's just really, really nice moment as a teacher to go through that with your students.
Have I'm glad that social media and what do you call it? Technology hasn't killed the power of books. Books are
Yeah.
still important.
Yeah.
People still go to books, and I think they always will.
I think that, yeah, it's
Yeah.
that every culture in the world has a history of storytelling,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just in our DNA. And so when somebody sits down and starts telling you a story, and you get their attention, you get a captive audience, they get hooked in the story. There's something about that you'll never get from like a movie or anything else, because it's activating like parts of your brain that you're not getting activated. You're making up these images in your head. You're
Mm-hmm.
following the story. Like you're invested. Like the pieces become real. And yeah, to me, that's what makes storytelling so powerful. I love that. And the fact that one of my favorite things to do as a teacher was to just read a book with the class. I would read the book, the class would listen, then we have a discussion about it afterwards. The things that would happen, the morals, the
Mm-hmm.
lessons, the motivations of each character, just like talking about like human nature, because it's shared. You even have kids that don't have to be the best readers. You know, maybe people are like, "Oh, that kid is learning difficulty." It's like often those kids have like amazing insights when it comes to storytelling, because it's making that other part of the brain work.
Yeah.
Storytelling, man.
Heck yeah. I love listening to my uncles and my elder stories, not even just coyote stories but the stories of their life, or maybe stories that they heard from their old timers.
Yeah.
A lot of them are close calls, close calls with near death experiences, or maybe some supernatural type stories, or
Wild things they did when they were younger.
yeah, or somebody they knew that was a really wild
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
They did crazy stuff.
Yeah, those are fun. Those are like the new, not chaptik, but like the
We
new.
call it Smeet Mai. It's just a story.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
And then there's
That's
Chaptik,
awesome.
and there's Smeet Mai. It's just a story.
Smeet my.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the best. Um, that's the one thing I love about like hanging out with older gentlemen's, old dudes. They just have the best stories.
Hunting camp, you go
Yeah,
up there. Getting a deer is nice, but sitting at the fire in the evening and listening to the stories, that's the gold, And
yeah, yeah.
it's often about old hunting experiences and bloopers and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
And
That's the best.
it's the best. It's great. It's what keeps it's enriching. And to hear
Yeah,
those stories and to be able to twist those stories into our lives, it becomes a part of us. Then when young people around us, then we can what do they call it? Weave a rug, or I don't know what they say then.
yes,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, um, yeah. It's
Spin a tail.
it's nice to be that, to get into being that person. But it sure is nice to still be able to listen. And I spent
Definitely.
the weekend doing that. Is like we had my unofficial stag this weekend. It was essentially just a sturgeon trip with a couple of my uncles, my dad, some cousins, and every night, like we didn't do anything crazy, we didn't do anything wild. We just had a nice dinner together. Then we just sat around in the living room and listened to my dad, my uncle tell stories, and that
I
was it.
love listening to my dad tell stories. Even his
Yeah.
voice, he's got the coolest voice for storytelling. I
Yeah.
wish my dad would get into audiobooks.
Oh yeah.
He'd make $1 million with he's got the coolest voice.
We should get him here. Just bring him out one day.
Yeah, I should.
I said podcast with
Have
him.
him tell some stories. He's such a good storyteller.
I
It's
love
amazing.
that. Yeah, no, I'd love to do more storytelling podcasting. Just the more people we can get in here to do that would be amazing. And I think it's so great to do that. Like this is one thing I've been thinking about a lot lately, is just getting storytellers on the mic, because we're preserving that
Yeah.
story. Like we're saving it. It's like you don't know how long these people are going to be around, but like we can kind of keep a piece of them here with us.
I have a few stories of my dad I recorded.
Nice.
I think I messed up though because of my technology impairments. I had the Yeti mic out there, and I think it just recorded to the laptop and not the Yeti mic. So
okay.
I think it doesn't sound as good as he could.
Yeah.
So I need to spend some more time with him and get some stories and stuff like that.
Let's drag him out here one day.
Because he's speaking English, but the stories he's telling from his childhood or from his young adulthood is an indigenous experience.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have morality, right? He lived like a scale. He is a scale. He lived the scale way, right?
That's awesome. Yeah.
And so even if I were to capture his stories, I could translate that because I know the language fairly well. And I could type them out and put them in Okanagan, Sealchin and English both.
Mm-hmm.
And then people could learn, like, or just it could be just for entertainment, or it could mostly for knowledge, right? And it'd be a good exercise for me. Can I translate a story from English to Kailukshin? How does that look? And
totally.
yeah.
Or we just get him out here and record it.
Yeah. I'll ask him.
Yeah. We'll do it. Okay. I think we're gonna wrap up this session here.
What was the question?
This was just our introduction.
Oh, this is the introduction.
Yeah, introduction plus. So we had a few other discussions, but mainly we wanted to just talk about our teaching philosophy, and I think that we've captured a lot of the really essential elements. So storytelling. We talked about our philosophy around teaching with a passion and motivation, making it fun, loving what you're doing, and I think a lot of the things we talked about are just what we love about being language and culture teachers, and what we have found have been like the most effective ways of us communicating what we're teaching. So, hopefully, if you're listening, hopefully you got some enlightenment from what we were able to share with you today. We would love to have a discussion with you. If you'd like to find out anything else, you can shoot us an email. We always like to have more discussion around these topics. And we're going to be doing more and more podcasts as time go on. So if you are particularly into this topic and you have something you want to share with it, by all means, hit us up. We'd love to have you on the pod. So yeah, that's it for now.
Right on.
On to
keep
part.
Keep it resi, keep it deadly. Is that what we say now?
On to part 2.
What?